It is time to blow up this sick and twisted plan that these Maskholes are promoting. I mean, let's just get right down to it, right? There is a calculus, there is a logic here that is being played out by the Republican Party against the American people. Part of it is coming out of Donald Trump's visceral hatred of Joe Biden, who beat him like a drum in the last election. And Trump has been seeking revenge for that ever since, the election, when it became obvious that Joe Biden had won the election. But part of it now even goes beyond that, and it's being embraced generally by as far as I can tell, by the entire Republican Party. And it goes something like this. If Trump and Fox and the Republican Party can convince people that they shouldn't get vaccines, that maybe there's something dangerous about them, maybe we should be worried about them, oh my God, blood clots, maybe we should be, or maybe it's, there's Bill Gates chips in them, whatever. If they can convince people not to get vaccine, or you don't need the vaccine, this is just as bad as flu, it's no big deal. If they can convince people not to get the vaccine, then we don't hit the 75 to 95% vaccinated, and we don't know what that threshold is yet. But we do know that it's probably north of 80% of everybody has to be vaccinated in order to have herd immunity. Herd immunity is where enough people are immune to the disease that even if one or two people get it, it doesn't spread through the community anymore. It stops epidemics and pandemics. So if they can convince enough people not to get the vaccine, they can keep us below that threshold, and they can keep the and they can prevent Joe Biden, President Biden, from getting control of the virus. Number one. If they can prevent Biden from getting control of the virus, the disease, as long as the virus is still a factor, as long as people are still freaked out and afraid to go to restaurants or bars or whatever, as long, if they can keep the virus a freak out thing for us, then the economy is still crippled. And here we come to part number 3 in this grand Republican plan. If they can keep Joe Biden from reopening the economy, then the same thing that happened to Donald Trump and the Republicans in 2020 will happen to the Democrats in 2022 and 2024. The party in power when the economy is in the tank is the party that loses. Right now, that's the Democrats. This is their plan. Keep the virus alive. Keep the economy, sputtering. And win in the 2022 midterm elections and win in the 2024 election. It is totally brutal math. But hey, if you don't think they don't care, if you think that they care about people who might die as a result of this, then think about the 500,000 people who've already died that didn't have to die. The entire country of Taiwan has seen like 10 people die. I mean, countries that took this seriously, it's a whole completely different thing. In Australia, the whole country of Australia, no cases. In Perth, this one town, Louise and I have spent a lot of time in Perth. It's a beautiful, beautiful town, but it's way over on the west side of Australia. I mean, it takes 5 hours by airplane to get there from anywhere. It's on the Indian Ocean. It's not even on the Pacific Ocean. 2 cases showed up in Perth. 2 cases of the virus in the whole country. And they shut down Perth. They're shutting down Australia, not the whole country, but they're what happened was this air corridor that they had with New Zealand, because there hasn't been a case in New Zealand. People aren't wearing masks. People are going to football games, soccer games. They're doing all kinds of stuff. They had this bubble that they had created between Australia and New Zealand where free travel between the two. They shut that down. They are taking this completely seriously. 2 cases in 2 countries. And we're still averaging 65,000 new cases a day here in the United States. because of the way Trump handled this thing. I mean, when you look at our village idiot, right, Ron Johnson, the Republican senator from Wisconsin, he said over the weekend, he said, why is this big push to make sure everybody gets a vaccine? To the point where you better impose it. You're going to shame people. You're going to force them to carry a card to prove that they've been vaccinated. Just so they can stay in society? I'm getting highly suspicious of what's happening here. End quote. Right. It's just a public health emergency that's killed 500,000 Americans. That's no big deal for rich Republicans. So what do we do? What can you and I do? We can't introduce legislation requiring vaccine passports. We can't, we can lobby for it. We can call our members of Congress. Just like, by the way, this morning, Attorney Ben Crump, after the killing of Andrew Brown Jr., said, please call the offices of Kyrsten Sinema, the Democratic senator from Arizona, and Joe Manchin, the Democratic senator from West Virginia, the only two Democrats who have not signed on to the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act. Call their offices and ask them to sign on to it. 202-224-3121 gets you the Capitol switchboard. Just ask for them. They'll connect you right with them. So we can do those kind of things. We can lobby like that, citizen lobbying. But I think I found something that might be even better. I started over the weekend. I called a restaurant. Let's try this out. Let's just test this. Called a restaurant that we still get carryout food from them regularly via Grubhub because they'll deliver it right to our door. It's one of our favorite restaurants. Called up this restaurant and I said, so it looks like the economy is going to open back up. I'm really excited about this. I am so looking forward to coming back and actually sitting in your restaurant and eating one of your delicious meals. I love your shiro and your Masir Wat. This is an Ethiopian restaurant. I love this stuff. So you mention them, what they sell so that they know that you're an actual customer, right? You're not just some troll. And they were like, oh, we're so looking forward to you coming back in. And I'm like, so all I need to know is I just want to make sure I will bring my proof of vaccination. I've got my card with my 2 vaccines on. I want to make sure that everybody that you're letting into the restaurant, you are asking them for proof of vaccination, because I don't want to be in a restaurant sitting next to somebody who's not vaccinated who might have one of these weird variants that I might still be able to catch. Long moment of silence. Well, we're welcoming people back and our staff is all vaccinated. Oh, you're not requiring people to be vaccinated to get into the restaurant? Well, we haven't opened up yet and we haven't made any decision. Okay, well here, let me give you my name and phone number. And you call me if you decide that you're only going to let vaccinated people into the restaurant. And when that happens, I'll be there every Friday afternoon. Okay, fine, we'll take down your name and number. If we call enough retail stores, restaurants, bars, dance venues, karaoke clubs, whatever, wherever you like to go, and have a conversation somewhat like that, so that this becomes a thing, like back in the 80s when some restaurants started saying, we're a non-smoking restaurant, even though it wasn't the law. And suddenly they were seeing business increase because nobody wanted to be around smokers. I think this could work. What do you think? You think I'm crazy?